Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and this is Soft Flow Yoga. This practice is called Yoga for your feet and ankles. Yoga for your feet and ankles. Now, if you're like me, you're probably on your feet all the time, and you're probably wearing shoes, high heels, boots, work boots, tennis shoes. If you're an athlete, you're wearing cleats or other kind of athletic wear, and that can be rough on your feet and ankles. So just want to pinpoint some of very popular yoga poses that we do all the time that actually do stretch and strengthen our feet and ankles. Plus, I'll add some other poses just to get really into our toes, the soles of our feet, ankles, and our heels. Alrighty, as always, we'll start with some props. Just a few things here that we'll need. Just a nice soft blanket that you can sit on and kneel on. You've got a couple of yoga blocks right here. Now, if you don't have a couple of yoga blocks, you can always use some hardbound books and maybe a big pillow or cushion. I have my yoga bolster here. Alrighty, let's begin. So sit very comfortably. I like to sit in half lotus. This is just comfortable for me. You can sit with your legs crossed. You can unfold your legs and just extend your legs outward if you'd like. Even if you need a little extra support, feel free to not only just sit on your blanket or pillow, but maybe sit in a chair or just up against a wall so you have some support for your back. Now, once you are comfortably seated, make sure your spine feels really long. Nice, long, tall torso, relaxed shoulders, and just take a few deep breaths. Nice, full breath in. Exhale completely through your mouth. Nice full breath in and exhale completely. And then just settle into your breath. Just slow, steady breaths here. Just a mindful connection as you prepare for your moving practice. But first, we like to start in stillness. As a reminder, breath is the foundation of just about any practice. Whether you're moving dynamically in a yoga flow or just sitting in meditation, breathing is the key. So we like to start here. Again, just slow, steady breaths, mindful breathing. Experience this connection. Notice the feeling of the breath as it moves through your body. And listen to the sound of your breath. And if you can't hear your breath, just simply turn up the volume. Just breathe a little slower, deeper, and louder. Good. Hold on to this connection. We'll just continue to sit in stillness as we deepen this connection. And just to bring a little bit more awareness to the breath, when you inhale, just feel the breath rising upward to fill your lungs. Then as you exhale, as you're able, draw your navel inward towards your spine. Just a nice connection to your center body. Again, as you inhale, just imagine your breath lives in your belly, and you're inhaling to pull it up to expand your lungs. And then exhale, draw your belly button in towards your spine. It's a light contraction of your abdominal muscles, just to maintain and deepen this connection, a full awareness of your center. Let's take a few more breaths like this. Very good. Let's add a very simple movement with our arms. On your next in-breath, just take the arms out and all the way up. As you complete this inhale, reach nice and high. Then exhale and extend your arms out and let them float back down to your side. Do that again. Inhale, extend your arms out with good effort. Feel as if you're going to reach out and touch the walls, and then eventually to the ceiling. Exhale, reaching the arms out, touch the walls again, and then back down. Now go ahead and continue at your own pace. Breathe and move on your own. As you're moving and breathing in slow motion, just notice the sensations in your body. Notice what this feels like in your arms, particularly your shoulders, as you reach all the way up. Feel the energy in your arms fully extended and even out through your fingertips. As you reach your arms up into the air, notice the lengthening through the sides of your body. Continue to feel the lengthening of the torso and spine. And of course the breath. And inhale to help reach upward, but still feel the breath rising to fill your lungs. Exhale, even though the arms are coming down, you want to feel your navel draw in towards spine to connect to your center. Now go ahead and finish the breath that you're on, and then take 2 more breaths. And when you're complete, just let your arms relax. Shoulder roll here. Hands rest on your lap. While still seated, just bring your hands behind you. You might even just prop yourself up onto your fingertips just to make your arms a little bit longer. And with your arms behind you, pay attention to your shoulders also rolling back. You want to feel your heart way out in front of your shoulders. You can even tip your chin up just a little bit just to help open up through the chest. Now we're creating a mild back bend in this seated position. Now inhale and press your fingertips into the floor. Feel the energy shoot up your arms, and continue to feel your breath rising upward to fill your lungs. A nice expansive breath here. Then exhale, draw your belly button in towards spine, and as you're able, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. Do that again. Inhale, press hands or fingertips into the floor, fill up your lungs with breath. Exhale, draw belly in, squeeze shoulder blades together. Just notice the dynamics in your body. Well engaged, very active here. Take 2 more breaths. And when you're complete, just lower your chin, just looking forward, and just walk your hands toward yourself so you're sitting up nice and tall. You can bring your arms around to the front and let them rest in your lap. And just come to stillness for a moment. Since we just performed a back bend, let's do a forward fold here. So if your legs are crossed, go ahead and uncross the legs, and we'll bring the soles of the feet together. And just let them touch. Now if the legs or knees don't touch the floor, that's okay. This is where your books or blocks can come in handy. A couple of books or even some pillows will work for this. Just tuck them underneath the legs so the legs have something to rest on. Go ahead and hold on to your ankles or shins. You just want to ensure that you're able to sit up nice and tall. Now inhale, continue to feel the lengthening of spine, breath filling up the lungs. Exhale, draw belly button in, really to help support the body as you are now in motion. Hinging forward just a tiny bit, leading with your heart and chin forward. Now I've created a slight angle in the upper body. I'm just going to scoop up my toes here, my feet. Alrighty. Now that we can even consider this kind of our first posture or awareness of working with our ankles and feet. We're just kind of scooping up the toes here. Gentle pull, not much, but really to help extend through the spine as you inhale and exhale, drawing belly button in, hinging forward a tiny bit. We're just going to hold here. Just a reminder, in our soft flow practice, you don't have to go too far or too deep in any pose, just enough so that you have the sensation of being in the posture and light sensation in parts of the body. In this pose, this is a hip opener, so you might feel this in the inner legs and hips. This is also a nice continuation of the lengthening of the spine. You're certainly welcome to round your back by lowering your chin and folding a little bit more without compromising the pose. You want to be quite relaxed in each of your postures, not really trying to force or strain your body. Let's take 3 more deep breaths here, just scooping up our toes, mindful of our feet, that we will be working with feet and ankles today. All right, now if your back did round, just go ahead and lift the chin a little bit to help re-extend your spine. Maybe place your hands on the ground to help press into the floor to help lift yourself back up so you're nice and tall in your seat. And just hold here for a moment. right, let's move some of our props out of the way, just our books or blocks out to the side. Let's come around to our hands and knees. Just move carefully to make your way onto hands and knees. This is where you might want to use your blanket or a towel, something that's soft that you can kneel on. Let's come to a tabletop position here. Hands and wrists are directly underneath the shoulders. Your knees are underneath your hips. Let's also pay attention to the feet. At first, let's just keep the feet flat like so. So the tops of your feet are on the ground. We're going to be focusing on the hips and spine, however. Now, when you inhale, tip the chin up, opening the heart as if you're sending your heart forward. You'll create a back bend, a little scoop or hinging of the hips, tipping it back. As you exhale, it scoop underneath as if you're tucking your tailbone under. Feel your belly button pull up towards your spine, rounding the back, chin to chest. Inhale, let's reverse it. Tip the pelvis back. You'll feel your belly drop. There's our back bend. Heart opens, look forward. This is cow pose. Exhale, reverse it. Round it all out. Tuck belly button in, chin to chest into cat pose. Now just continue to flow through this at your own pace, feeling this nice undulation of the spine, getting some good movement and mobility throughout your entire back in addition to the pelvis. Let's go back to our feet. Remember, the tops of your feet are just resting on the floor here, but in a moment we'll change that and get a stretch through your toes, which should also affect kind of the balls of the feet and maybe the soles of the feet. I like this position, and we'll be coming back to this pose or this sensation in the feet because we are stretching and lengthening the tops of the ankles here. Now, if you are aware of shoes, like boots or something stiff, it kind of keeps your foot in one position. So something like yoga and the many postures that your feet take in yoga will help to not only loosen up the feet and ankles, but also give them good strength. Let's finish this breath and just hold in stillness. Now that's a lot of pressure on the hands, so we're going to get off the hands and now pay attention to the feet and toes and ankles. Here, tuck your toes under like this, and then start walking your hands back just a bit until you're starting to put a little pressure into the toes. So we're getting a stretch through the toes here and the soles of the feet. Now you don't have to be too forceful with this, just to getting a different sensation in the toes and also for the top of the foot or the ankle area. Also, this is taking some pressure off the hands. Since we had a lot of weight forward in the hands, this takes pressure away from the hands. What you may also want to do while you're getting a stretch through your toes, let's get a counter stretch with the wrists. Maybe a gentle press into the mat. I like to do like soft pulses, maybe 3 to 5 times on each hand here. And so we're kind of doing the same thing with the feet, just getting some counter movements with the feet. We're also doing it with the hands and wrists. Alrighty. Now let's go ahead and come forward so we can flatten the feet again. Let's crawl off the blanket. Let's set it to the side. We're going to move into downward facing dog. Let's come forward here. Reposition your wrists so they're underneath the shoulders again, knees underneath hips. Hold here for a moment as we set things up. Feet are flat for a moment. Let's step the hands forward. Spread out your fingers as you step them forward. Get a nice stretch between each finger, and then kind of lean into the palms. Press them flat into your mat. As you press, feel the strength of your now straight arms. Now we'll tuck the toes under. Even push back, pushing the hips back towards the heels just to get a little stretch through the toes before we move into downward facing dog. I'm going to shift my body weight forward, getting a little bit more weight into the hands, so I can now lift the knees, send the hips up into the air. And this also is changing the foot posturing. And a tiptoe forward a little bit, even take the feet a tiny bit wider. Even take the hands a little wider. Do keep the knees very bent. That way your hips still have mobility. Send them higher up into the air. This should lengthen the spine and torso much more. Feel the energy and strength in your straight arms.
Now we're still on our toes here. The heels do not need to touch the floor in downward facing dog. But we're going to pedal the feet so we can get a stretch through the calves, ankles, and the soles of the feet. So I'm just going to, I call this walk the dog. I'm just pressing one heel down as the other heel lifts and then alternating. Notice what this feels like. You'll notice sensation in your toes, maybe the tops of the feet and ankles, maybe even the soles of the feet right to the heels. This also affects the calves, getting a nice stretch. So really the lower half of the legs here right into the feet. Okay, we'll pause here. Now look straight down on the floor and then walk your feet forward just enough until the feet are flat on the floor underneath you. Slide your fingertips towards your toes. You'll be in forward fold for a moment. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees and hold here on the exhale. And just manipulate your upper body so you're parallel to the floor as best as you can. This is half forward fold. Nice strong foundation. Okay, flat feet basically, soft knees. You're going to feel the natural engagement of the legs to hold you in place. We're breathing in to lengthen through the spine, exhaling to pull belly button up towards spine, again to help support your posture. Shift your weight into your heels now so your toes feel light. Give them a little wiggle if you can. Bend your knees, lower your hips like you're sitting down as you lift the chest at the same time, maintaining a lengthened spine. Take your arms out to the side like you're spreading your wings. Drive your heels into the floor to help straighten the legs. I'm just going to turn forward here, reaching all the way up towards the sky. Nice big stretch. Exhale, bring your arms down to your side. Now we're in our first standing position, mountain pose. Let's pay attention to the feet again. Now I'm going to ask you to stand in mountain pose, and there's some specifics here with the feet. Now let's see if we can get the feet about hip distance apart with the toes pointing forward. And just notice the transfer of weight. You want to make sure you're not shifting to one side or the other, but you feel quite centered here. Now this isn't a normal way of standing. If you were just standing having a casual conversation with a friend, you might have the feet a little bit wider, feet turned out like that. And you might even shift your weight to one side where you have more weight in one foot and the other foot's light. So that's a little bit more natural. So we're bringing things back to center and to alignment. So centering, evenness of weight between the feet, and then the alignment of hips right down through the knees, down to the ankles, with the toes pointing forward. So it's just some awareness of how the feet are reacting to a standing position. Let's take a couple more breaths here. While we're standing, let's just take our arms out with an inhale all the way up towards the sky, just like we did in seated. Exhale, bring your arms back down. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach out. Good effort, all the way up. Exhale, reach towards the outer walls, back down. 1 last time. Inhale, reaching out, all the way up, and complete with the exhale. Feel free to roll your shoulders here. All right, let's continue with some standing postures. I'd like to do a variation of Warrior One. And again, we're going to be doing that modification of Warrior One, but also paying attention to our feet. So let's stand. I'm going to stand at the top of the mat here, leaving a little space between the toes and the front edge of the mat. I'm still standing with the feet hip distance apart. My toes are pointing forward. Nice and tall, shoulders rolled back. You want to feel the heart in front of the shoulders. Soften the knees here a little bit. Now shift your weight into your right foot. Lean forward a little bit and let your right foot, your toes, kind of grip the mat. Feel the strength in your toes. Do that a few more times. Just imagine my hand here is your toes and you're just gripping. Okay, do that a couple times. Just more toe strength here. The left foot should be light so you can easily lift the heel like so, and then just tap the foot back. Hold here for a second. Even shift the weight back slightly so all the weight isn't in the front foot, but feel that little extra stretch in the toes. We're going to turn the whole leg outward, set the heel onto the floor, shifting the weight back so you feel pretty well centered here, okay? Now we have a slight bend in the right knee, perfectly fine if the left knee is a little bent here too. Place your hands on your hips, push your pelvis down, and allowing your torso to get longer and taller.
and then turn your torso to face mostly forward. We're going to inhale, extend the arms out and up. Exhale, bend elbows to about 90 degrees, so something like this. So this is our variation of Warrior One. Let's hold here for a couple of breaths. We are in a lunge, however, there's not much distance between the feet, and that's on purpose. Usually in Warrior One, the arms are straight up, but the modification here has the elbows bent. All right, we're going to inhale, extend the arms up. Exhale, bring the arms down to your side. Now let's pay attention again to the feet. The right foot really hasn't done much. It's still facing forward, but our left foot has slightly turned outward, okay? So not much in the foot there. It's more happening as far as the hip is concerned. But we're going to do something here. Okay, we're going to do a version of Warrior Two. We're going to shift forward a little bit, getting a little bit more weight and pressure into the right foot, so I can easily lift the left heel and tap it back 1 and maybe 2 more times. Set the heel down. Okay. Now this is going to feel a little bit different once we get to the second variation of Warrior Two. Let me show you. First, still facing forward, inhale, extend your arms straight up. Exhale, open your heart towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Okay, we're going to reach and hold here for a moment just to get this dynamic in the upper body. In a moment, we'll pay attention to what's happening in the left foot, the one that's behind you. We're going to inhale, reach out more. Exhale, just relax your arms. Now, it's hard to feel and tell what's happening with the foot and ankle, but because of this extension of the left leg, there's a slight little bend in the ankle area. Let me just show you this. Stay where you are. If I went a little wider with the foot, my foot is planted firmly, but see how the leg comes in at an angle rather than straight up and down. This is great for getting more strength and flexibility in the ankle area. I'm going to pull this foot back in. Now, when we come to that second version of Warrior Two, we will have a wider stance and you'll feel that a little bit more in the ankle. This is kind of a setup. All right, so I'm going to re-extend my arms out for our Warrior Two. I'm going to bring this left palm up, reach around or up and around to the front facing forward. Flip the palms up, fold and bend, bring the fingertips to the floor, return to my toes on that back foot, heel lifted. Little push, I'm just going to give myself a little launch, stepping forward until I'm in forward fold. Weight shift into the heels, bend the knees, lift torso partially, just so I can get the arms out to the side. Inhale, rise up, reach into the sky. Then exhale, bring the arms back down to the side. We're going to do the exact same thing for the other side. Be sure your feet are still hip distance apart, toes are pointing forward. Soften the knees slightly, shift weight into the left foot. Okay, grip, let's lean forward a little bit so you can grip your mat a few times with the left set of toes, just building some strength in your toes. The right foot should be light enough so you can peel the heel off the floor, stretching the toes a little bit and stepping back, just until it just naturally stops. I'm going to lean back a little bit to put a little bit more pressure in the toes, and then turn the right leg out, plant the heel into the floor, shifting the body weight back so I'm centered. Slight bend in both knees. Place hands on hips, pushing pelvis down. Feel the torso rise, making space in the midline so you can turn to face mostly forward. We're setting up for our variation of Warrior One. Inhale, extend the arms up, straight and long. Exhale, bend elbows to 90 degrees. We'll hold here for several breaths. Pretty typical to hold a pose for about 5 breaths. All right, let's get set up for our variation of Warrior Two. Let's inhale, re-extend the arms up. Exhale, arms down to the side. Now again, not much is happening with the feet and ankles. We just want to feel balanced on our feet in this small lunge. Let's shift the weight forward into this front foot. Peel the heel off the floor. Step back once, twice, not much. Replant that heel. So we're starting to get that different angle in the leg connecting to the ankle joint.
Still facing forward. Inhale, extend the arms into the air. Exhale, turn your torso now to the right side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Keep reaching, hold here. Maybe 3 breaths. On the 4th, inhale, reach out more. Exhale, just go ahead and relax the arms. So you can just pay attention to the legs right down to your feet. We're in a wider stance. In our second variation, of course, will be a little bit wider than this. Feel quite centered. This is really good strength, not only for the legs, but also for the feet, helping you to feel well grounded and supported. Let's re-extend the arms. We're going to flip the right palm up, bring it up and around to the front as you face forward. Flip the palms up, fold carefully, just bend the knee. Place the palms on the floor, spread out your fingers, rise up on your tiptoes behind you, and we're stepping forwards. So I'm just kind of launching myself forward, a little push. There we are in our forward fold. Lean back into the heels, tap your toes, bend the knees, lower your hips, lift your chest, spread your wings. Inhale, rise all the way back up, reaching into the sky. Exhale, arms come down to your side. Let's just reposition ourselves here so we have returned to our our mountain pose with the feet in good alignment. All right, now let's get into our sun salutation, those second variations of Warrior 1 and Warrior 2, again paying attention to the feet and ankles. I'm just going to do a quick adjustment of my mat and we'll get going. There we go. All right, standing in mountain pose at the top of the mat, here we are. Inhale, extend both arms up. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back into an imaginary chair. The weight shift is into the heels. Toes can easily lift here, perhaps. Your belly is coming down towards thighs. Maybe you can touch your toes here. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees and extend your spine. This exhale, just slide down the legs with the hands, bend your knees more, lower your hips, your back will round. Place your hands on the floor, both hands, and start walking both feet back to the back end of your mat. Align the body so you're parallel to the floor. You'll be in plank pose. Notice the feet here. We're again on our toes. Inhale. Exhale, bend your knees, send your hips into the air. Maybe adjust the feet by tiptoeing forward and even taking the feet a bit wider. And feel free to adjust your hands as you arrive in downward facing dog. Let's pedal the feet again or walk the dog. Maybe 3 on each foot, so we're still getting into the ankles, toes, heels, tops and soles of the feet, and of course your calves. Now, I like to step my left foot a little bit more towards the center of the mat. I'm going to pick up the right foot and extend the right leg back. This just gives me some balance in my down dog while I extend one leg in the air. In this too, this left foot that's on the floor, I'm going to kind of pulse here. See how I'm kind of lifting a little bit, getting a little bit more strength in the toes. Now really extend through the right leg and point your toes, getting into the top of the foot there. Inhale. Exhale, bend your right knee. Bring the right knee in toward your chest and chin as you shift your whole body weight forward until your shoulders are over your wrists. You're going to notice some effect of this on your left set of toes. Set the right foot down. Both heels are lifted here. We're going to set the left knee down, pull back so you have less weight in the hands. Use your right hand to go pick up your right ankle and foot and step it up higher on the top of the mat. And then re-lift the left knee, pivot or turn that left heel to the floor. Okay, now we're getting set up for a Warrior 1, Warrior 2, second variation. You're going to really feel a little bit more of how the foot is fully planted with the leg coming in at an angle. So be aware if you're on the edge of your foot here. Don't want that. We want a full and firm connection to the ground. Now, rise up onto your fingertips here to help extend the torso so the crown of your head is pointing forward. Bring both hands up to your thigh, lifting just a little bit more, making sure you feel well extended through the torso. A lot of weight is going forward, which means we need some good extra weight and pressure of that left foot into the ground. More strength in the ankle and foot is happening here. Let's finish rising, hinging at the hips, rising up until we're perpendicular to the floor. We're going to inhale, take the arms out and up. Keep them straight as you exhale. Here's our first warrior and the second variation of this posture. A little bit more distance between the feet. Arms are straight. Feet are planted. See how that left foot plants into the floor, leg coming in at a different angle. Inhale, reach higher. Exhale, turn torso towards the left side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. I usually like to turn the left foot out just a little bit here. Alrighty? Just so there isn't too much pressure in the ankle in this variation. Turned in like this for me, a little bit too much tension. You could keep the foot here, but just to keep the ankle a little bit more safe as well as the knee, I like to turn the foot out. But again, the foot is planted strongly into the ground, leg coming in at an angle. Right knee is bent, right about there, knee right over the heel or ankle. Arms extended out to the side. Couple more breaths. So even though this is a pose we come to all the time in our yoga practice, we don't always focus on the feet. All right, let's flip the left palm up, bring it up and around, face forward, palms forward like that, or flip the palms up, fold like we did earlier. Carefully land on the hands, rise up onto tiptoes behind you. All right, push into the floor with the hands, strong arms. We're going to pull the right foot back to meet the other. So we're in plank pose again, on our toes. Bend the knees on an exhale and lift the hips into the air. Adjust the feet, tiptoe forward a little bit, take them wider if you'd like. Hands also a little wider at the top of the mat. Soft knees, send your hips up. There we are. Let's pedal the feet once again, 3 on each side. Really getting into the strength and flexibility of our feet. We take our feet for granted. All right. I'm going to step my right foot to the center of the mat for more stability as I pick up the left foot and extend the left leg back. Don't worry about lifting it too high. Just want it straight. Point the toes of the left foot, getting through the top of the foot here. The right foot that's still on the floor, I'm doing about 3 pulses here, getting into the strength of the top of the foot as well as the toes. Now inhale. Lengthen through the left leg. Exhale, bend your left knee. Bring it in underneath you towards your chest. Shifting body weight forward, shoulders over wrists. Set the left set of toes down. Both heels are lifted. Set the right knee down. Pull the weight back so the hands feel lighter. Use your left hand to go get the left foot. Pick it up. Place a little higher on the mat. You want that foot to be flat on the ground. Plant the left hand on the ground. Re-lift your right knee. Pivot or turn the right heel to the floor. Remember, we're setting up for our second variations of Warrior 1 and Warrior 2. Make sure the whole foot's on the floor, even the outside edge of that right foot. Rise up to fingertips, extend through the torso. Bring both hands to thigh, lift a little, make sure you're well extended. Remember, there's energy going forward, but we also want energy moving back that way, to the back end of the mat. That's your foot and even the outer hip. Take the arms out to the side as you rise up nice and tall. Reach up into the air as we now arrive in Warrior 1. Holding here for several breaths. You're certainly going to notice this in your hips and side bodies, but we go right down the legs. Pay attention to the feet, particularly your right foot. Okay? Whole foot pressing into the floor. Angled leg, or the leg coming in at an angle at the ankle joint. Inhale here. Exhale, let's turn torso towards the right side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. You may or may not need to make the adjustment of the foot, right foot. I'm turning mine out. So it just feels a little bit more natural in the hip, knee, and ankle. Outside edge of the right foot pressing into the floor. The foot is flat. Leg coming in at an angle. A couple more breaths in our Warrior 2. Let's flip the right palm up, reach up and around facing forward. Flip the palms up here. Fold carefully. Bring your hands down to the ground. Rise up on your tiptoes behind you. Press firmly into the mat with the hands, strong straight arms. We're just transferring energy so we can slide the left foot back into plank pose. Hold here for a moment. Then we'll set the knees onto the floor. Keep the toes tucked. We're going to do what we did earlier. Send the weight back, mainly your hips towards your heels. less weight in the hands. Sitting back, I'm just doing these light pulses to get into the toes. All right, we're going to do some floor work here. Let me crawl forward. Let's flatten the feet. Actually, one more thing before we sit down or lie down. We're going to change the toe sensation here. First we were tucked under, now we're flattening the feet, tops of the feet on the mat, and then go ahead and carefully sit back to a hero pose. Okay, now we're not going to hold this too long, but again, we're getting a nice lengthening through the top of the foot. That's certainly affecting the ankle. All right, let's come off of that. Shift and sit to the side. Swing the legs around to the front. Maybe scooting forward so you're sitting in the center of your mat. We're going to lie down, but be sure you've got your books or blocks. We're going to get into our back bend here. Before I lie down, I'm just going to make a quick adjustment of my mat again. Or carefully roll down. You can bring your knees to chest. Add some movement here. This is great because now our feet are free. Alrighty, and this gives us an opportunity to do some more work with the feet. So maybe flex the feet, pull your toes towards your shins, and then point your toes, pushing forward and away. Flex, point. Notice how this does affect the shins, maybe even the calves, but certainly it's the tops of the feet. And then circle the feet. I'm going in one direction a couple times, and then the opposite directions. And if you can, wiggle your toes. This is also great. So if you're always on your feet, especially in shoes, make sure you give yourself some time, maybe to lie down, or prop up your feet, elevate your feet, give them a little space and some movement. All right, let's set the feet onto the floor. We need to create a strong foundation. Very much like standing in mountain pose, so well rooted and connected to the earth with the feet. With a good exhale, I'm pressing the feet into the floor, lifting the hips high enough to slide the blocks underneath and just sitting. Let's just hold here for a moment. We just like to add our mild back bend, in this case the supported bridge pose in our soft flow class. Just to help open up the front body in a gentle way and return to the breath. After this, we're going to be moving into some poses that really do affect the feet and ankles and the toes. So nice stretching, and probably something we've never done before. All right, 2 more breaths in our supported bridge posture. Now go ahead and press your feet firmly to the floor. You're going to feel the legs fire up, lifting. Maybe give your glutes a nice little flex there. That's always nice. Move your props and then come back down to the floor. We're going to rise back up to seated. So you may rock your way up to seated, but since this is soft flow, you can roll to one side and then press yourself up to seated. Alrighty. We're going to extend the right leg forward, flexing the foot so the toes are coming back towards your shins, while the left knee is bent. We're going to place the left foot on the inner thigh. Now, if it doesn't reach this high, that's fine. It can even be at knee level or even at calf level. And it's okay if this knee doesn't touch the floor. You can just take a pillow, towel, block, book, something just to brace it there. Now we're just going to do another flexing of the foot, point your toes, flex, point, flex, and hold right there. And we'll do a very mild forward fold, and I'll talk about what else we're going to be doing with this pose. We're going to inhale, get nice and tall. Exhale, hinge forward just a little bit. I'm just walking my hands down just below my knees. So I'm feeling a nice stretch in the hamstring. We're keeping the leg well engaged because we're flexing the foot. You want to feel like your heel is actually moving forward.
Now this pose technically is called Janu Shirshasana, or head to knee pose. Now of course we got a lot of distance between the head and knee, that's perfectly fine. But we're mainly going to pay attention to what's happening to this left foot, because we're going to do a couple things here. Now only do this if this feels okay for you, okay? Alrighty, so there's actually 3 versions of Janu Shirshasana. This is A, there's a B and a C. We're going to do a variation of B. Alrighty, let's soften this up and rise up. Okay, I'm going to turn to face you for a moment, and I'm going to mirror you. So your right leg's still extended, foot flexed, so your toes are coming toward your shin. Left knee is bent, foot on inner leg, and of course we had that block there. Okay, so I'm just mirroring you if you're facing me. Now the foot is just resting on the inner leg. Just anywhere on the leg is fine. Now we're actually going to sit on top of the foot. What you may want is a little extra padding or cushion. So I'm going to move out of the way for a moment so I can bring in my blanket. So this can just be a towel. I'm just bringing a portion of I'm just unfolding a portion of my blanket so I have some softness here. Okay, this is especially good if you happen to be practicing on hardwood floor, or if you have a thinner yoga mat. You may want to have some extra cushioning. So this was our original setup here. We're going to get the left foot underneath. So I'm bringing it in, and if you can't bring it in too much, depending on how well your knee bends, that's okay. You can even skip this. You can keep version A if you want. I'm using my hands, lifting my body, scooting forward, and actually sitting. I'm going to scoot back a little bit. And sitting right on top of the heel, right at the perineum, okay, part of the body here, underneath you, your root. And I'm just sitting, I'm just propping myself up, using my hands, pushing into the floor to stay tall and kind of light up top here. But I'm actually sitting on the foot and ankle to add a pressure point in the root area of the body. But because we're sitting on the foot, a little extra stretch sensation in the top of the foot. Now again, you don't have to do this version. You can just maintain version A. This is a variation of version B. All right, I'm going to come off of this. Okay, getting out from sitting on top of this foot. Let's still work with this left foot. We're going to get in between each of the toes here. This is that new posture. This is a yoga position, and maybe something that you've never done before. If you're able, you're going to interlace your fingers between each toe. Just like you're folding or you're interlacing your fingers like this. You're going to do this with your toes. So really getting some good space between each toe by getting the fingers in between. And even to a point where it feels like I can actually get a good hold of the foot. Even just holding this is wonderful for the toes if you're able to do this. And then we can just do some movement here. I'm doing a little flex, mainly through the toe area. Point. I'm just kind of pulling. Flex, point. Just like that. Little movement laterally here through the foot. We're going to do one last thing after all this. First, we're just getting that nice stretch between each toe, the flex and point, some circles or side to side, and then we're going to release the hand here. Hold on to this shin, lifting the leg so your foot goes light, and shake it. Okay, just nice shake. Just again, just kind of loosening up through the foot, the tendons, ligaments, even the bones. Just like that, for about 10 seconds. And that's it. So that's the whole segment on one side. Let's shift to the other side. So now we're extending the left leg. Let's bend the right knee, bringing the foot to inner leg here. High, medium, or low. If you need to prop something underneath that knee, perfectly fine. Remember, you're flexing the foot, toes are pulling in towards your shin. Feel like your heel is moving forward. Let's take our Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose. Inhale, get as tall as can be. Exhale, lead with your heart and chin just forward, just a little bit. Maybe your hands just rest here just below the knee area. What you should feel perhaps is a stretch sensation in your hamstrings. And maybe you can even reach out and touch your toes, but you don't have to. All right, so this is more of the classic Janu Shirshasana A, or head to knee pose A, version 1. We're going to do the version B in a moment, getting more into the stretching of the ankle area of this right leg and foot. All right, let's go ahead and rise back up. You're probably still sitting on your pad. I'm going to move this block out to the side here. Now, if your foot's kind of low on the leg here, you'll need to pull it up higher if you're able. Again, just check in with the knee, because if the knee doesn't bend this way, then you may want to skip this variation. And keep version A. Otherwise, using your hands, lifting yourself up, scooting forward. So I'm actually sitting right on top of my foot. The heel is right in the perineum, right in the center section of your underside, okay? Foot is still flexed. I'm just using my hands to stay propped up. I can feel that light pressure of the perineum, the center of my body, right on the heel, and the heel pushing up into that. This is a good pressure point, nice energetic sensation through the root chakra. But of course, we're sitting on the foot and getting a nice stretch through the ankle, even through the shin. Now, even if you're only holding this for a few seconds, that's fine. And then we're going to pull back and away. Alrighty. Now we're going to interlace the fingers between each toe. Let's see if we can do that on this side so we can get a nice stretch between the toes. When's the last time you ever did something like this? So again, if you wear boots like boots that stiffen the toes, or even high-heeled shoes perhaps that bring the toes in together, okay, this is a wonderful exercise to provide some space, okay, between each toe. Stretch out those areas that can get pretty tight in the top of the foot, toe area, the balls of the foot. Okay, let's do a little flexing, pointing. I'm just kind of pulling back and forth, side to side, a little lateral movement that kind of gets into the top of the foot and the ankle. And if you can't get the fingers between the toes, that's okay. You can even just hold on to the toes, okay, and just kind of do that same kind of rocking sensation. But again, this really is quite beneficial for your feet. Let's release here. Hold on to the shin. I'm just leaning back so I can actually pick up the foot, okay, and giving it a good shake. Just let that foot go loose and give it a shake for about 10 seconds. Some breathing to go along with that. Perfect. Very nice. All right. So that completes our foot and ankle practice. We're going to return to a lying down position and just make our way to the end of our class. Let's go ahead and lie down. Let's bring the knees in once again. Let's repeat this flex and point. Flex and point in circles, and if you can, wiggle your toes. And just even notice the sensation in your feet after this sequencing of postures we did together. Let's lightly flex the feet, still holding onto the knees or shins. Take the legs kind of wide here for a variation of happy baby pose, just to get a little stretch in the inner legs. Flexing the feet just kind of strengthens through the top of the foot and through the shins here. Even keeps the legs, or helps the legs to stay pretty stable if you're holding in a position like this. All right, from here, bring the soles of the feet together and set the feet onto the floor. And let the legs open naturally. Let the weight,
of gravity just pulls them downward, getting an additional stretch into the inner legs. If this feels like it's too much of a pull or stretch, you can even place those pillows or books or blocks underneath the knees. Does this affect the feet? In a way, in a very light way. The soles of the feet are touching, but they're not really active here. It's just a different posturing for the feet. So it's just contributing to the flexibility of the feet. But mainly we're just feeling the body relax as we make our way towards Shavasana and our final meditation. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Take your time. Let's bring the knees together, lifting the knees. Plant the feet onto the floor. Let's just give one more action for the feet and ankles. Let's lift the right foot, drawing the knee in. You can even hold on to the shin with the hands. And then extend the leg. Just hold on to the back of the leg with your hands. Perfectly fine if the knee is bent. More action for the foot. Flex, point, circle, wiggle toes. Flex, point, circle, wiggle toes. Flex, point, circle, opposite direction 3 times. Wiggle your toes. Bend the knee, set the foot onto the floor. Other side. Let's draw left knee in, picking up the foot. Extend the leg. Same exercise. Flex, point, circle in one direction, wiggle toes. Flex, point, circle, same direction, wiggle toes. Flex, point, circle, opposite direction 3 times. 2, 3, wiggle toes, and bend the knees, set the feet onto the floor. Just hold here for a moment. Then bring both knees into chest. Let's finish with a twist. Let's take both knees over towards the left side of the room. Maybe extend your right arm to the right side of the room. This will just create a nice rotation through the spine and torso. You want to feel nice and long through the torso before manipulating your body into a twist so that it doesn't feel obstructed when you do take this twist. Now it's okay if the knees or legs don't come all the way down to the floor. You can still use your props, even tuck things underneath or between the legs here to help support the posture. Let's take 3 more breaths on this first side. We'll carefully come back up to center. Hold for a moment just for some realignment. And then gently taking knees to the other side. Use props as needed. So knees to the right. Left arm extends to the left. Feeling that nice extension through the torso, but also feeling the twist that's happening throughout the spine. Deep breaths here. A good 5 to 10 breaths would be sufficient for these twisting postures. When you feel complete, just carefully make the knees back up to center. Hold here, just allow the spine to realign. You can set the feet down and then extend the legs straight out in front of you. Let your arms come down to your side, palms up. Let's relax the whole body, starting with the feet. Just let them fall open naturally, if that's the way they want to naturally go. Okay, and the legs will follow. Legs, hips. Notice how your back just softens and melts into your mat. Even your shoulders. Adjust your head. Adjust your entire body so that you can hold here in complete stillness. Now you can keep your eyes opened, just softly gazing upward if you'd like,
or close your eyes. Return to the awareness of your breath. You might start with a few deep breaths just to bring that full attention and awareness back into consciousness. Feel the body really release and let go, knowing that we are at the end of our moving practice. No more dynamics here, just complete release. Just notice the steady flow of the breath, keeping your focus here. If your mind begins to wander, that's okay, because that's a natural occurrence. And if that does happen, just notice, oh, I'm thinking about something else, and just take a deep breath, using that as an anchor to bring you back to the present moment. Now that might be a constant effort, especially if your mind just consistently wanders away. Again, that's normal too. Just know that with the deep breathing, the sound and the feeling of the breath, and the intentionality around the breath, you can come back to the present moment. You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. Just continue practicing this state of full relaxation and meditation. Even as I end the practice, you're welcome to stay right here. Or you can follow me to the very end. When it is time to move, rather than just sitting up quickly, we'll start with the gentle movement of breath. So once again, bring your awareness back to the breath and take 5 deep breaths. Notice the sensation, listen to the sound. As you're breathing deeply, start adding movement to your body. This might start with a gentle wiggle of your toes and your fingers, movement of your feet and hands. You might even just feel the flex and point of the feet again. And notice how this stirs throughout your entire body, bringing movement back into your entire body. And after your 5th breath, and you're ready to move completely, maybe bend your knees, plant the feet for a little leverage, so you can kind of push and roll yourself to one side. You can even pause here in this nurturing pose for a moment. Then use a new breath in your hands to press into the floor to help sit up and come to a comfortable seated position. I'm just going to return to my half lotus where I started the practice. Sit up nice and tall, nice lengthened spine. A quick roll of the shoulders so the shoulders and arms feel relaxed. Your hands can just rest in your lap or on your knees, or you can bring hands to heart center. Take one more breath in, complete breath out. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow saying, Namaste.
Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.